Hey there, and welcome to this week's issue of the Live Web TV. The subject this week is pre-screening pretty houses, which is one that I get a lot of requests on and which I spend a good part of my time teaching because it is a large part of our business. So let's get right into it, get pencil and paper to write with. There are 4 things that you must know before you can pre-screen a pretty house, or even an ugly one for that matter. Number 1, I have to know the ARV. Now if you go back to one of our previous lessons, I discussed how to determine the market value of a house. And I gave you some websites to go find that at. A ton of them out there like sitex.com, site, S-I-T-E-X, or realquest.com, and Zillow, and all the free ones. So we have to know the ARV. Fortunately, it's free and you can go right on any website and get it. And then secondly, I have to know the asking price. And there's only one place you can get that from, and that's from the seller. So someone, when they're on the telephone with them, has to ask them what do they want for the house. And then thirdly, I have to know what is the loan balance. And that's the one that a lot of people have trouble with because they're just afraid to ask. And especially if they get a little bit of resistance. But I need that loan balance, and so do you. Not only do I need to know what they owe, but I also need to know whether it's current or whether it's in arrears, in arrears, yes. And if it is in arrears, about how long or about how much would it take to bring it current. Now that's important because sometimes I want to bring it current, and sometimes I know that if it's way behind, it's probably just a short sale candidate. So when I'm pre-screening pretty houses, the loan amount and what's owed on it is probably one of the most important things I'm looking for. But I'm also very interested in the difference between the ARV and the asking. So if I got a house worth $200 and the asking is $195, I'm instantly out of there. I'm totally uninterested. I'm not going to pay retail price for the house. I know I'm wasting my time. I'm chasing a dead end. I got to have more equity in that, even if I'm taking over debt. But when they call me in the ARV is, in fact, I got one right here that my staff just turned up here this morning. And this is probably pushing my top end envelope right here. This is a house here in Jacksonville, right here around near where the office is. And the seller says, we call this is a FSBO ad, got it right off the line, and one of my folks called it. Says the ARV is about $250 on this house, but they owe $230. Now their loan is current. They want to move out to the beach, and they already said right here on the form that they would sell for what they owe. So there's only $20,000 worth of equity in this house, and it's a beautiful house, 2,700 square feet, and the payment's $1,800 a month, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. And the loan is current. Now you see, I can take a look at those numbers that fast and determine if this house is worth $250 or more, which I can find out in a matter of seconds on one of those websites, and if they're willing to sell it for what they owe on it, and if the payment is reasonable, then I can go out and just take over this house and get it for free if they're willing to deed it to me subject to. That's only got $20,000 worth of equity in it. It's a gorgeous house. It's in a desirable neighborhood, so that I know my exit strategy is swift. And what would that be? In my case, I'd simply lease option it out to a tenant buyer for about $255, $259. I'd get $15,000, $20,000 non-refundable option deposit immediately, just like that, which you can do on these beautiful homes. You put a $250,000 house out on the marketplace, and $20,000, $30,000 deposit is rather normal. Unlike trying to put a $100,000 house out there where you got to kill yourself to get $5,000. So this is my favorite kind of house right here. Now, would I like to have more equity? Yes. What's wrong with only getting $20,000 worth of equity with no risk if I can go get $15,000, $20,000 back a few days after I buy it? And I probably am not going to get a monthly spread. In fact, I'll be a little concerned that I would get more than the $1,800, but I know I could if I put a lease option tenant in there. And remember, that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. So probably $300 or $400 a month of that is taxes and insurance that anybody would have in that area, regardless of what price they paid for the property. So I think it's sellable. I really do. I think the rent on that house could be easily $2,000, so not a big monthly spread. And I know I can get that big upfront deposit. That's the key. So let me go back here again. I want you to tell me what the ARV is. I want to know what the asking. I want to know what the loan. And I want to know if it needs any repairs. That's number 4. This house says it's in excellent condition. So I immediately know I don't have to do any repairs. It's walk in, move in, ready. So if they say they want to get out, I'll go out and take a look. If I like what I see, I'll leave with a contract and we'll go to closing whenever they want to go to closing. And I'll get them to make the next couple of payments at least. And then 3 or 4 months from now, I'll start making the payments. But I'll have a tenant buyer in that house within 2 weeks after I take ownership of it and they're out of it. So that's one of my favorite easy deals. So pre-screening pretty houses, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a spread between the ARV and the asking. I'm looking for a loan with a reasonable payment. I'm looking for a house in excellent condition. And I'm also really looking for the people who are asking at or about what they owe. Because like that one, when they are, I know I got a deal, or I know I'm very close to the deal. So then the only question is, will they sell it to me subject to? So when we get them on the telephone, we simply ask them, will you sell for what you owe? If the answer is yes, then I go into explaining to them, well, I can buy it, but the only way I can buy it is to take over your debt, which means I'll start making your payments when you and I agree. And sometime in the future, I'll get the loan paid off and out of your name. But in the meantime, I'll buy the house. All responsibilities are mine. You're out. You just sit back and relax until one day you get notice that it's paid off. If the customer says I can live with that, I'll go out and I'll get a contract. If they can't, I'll move on to the next one and follow up with them later. So pre-screening is not really that difficult, but I know it's going to take a little time and practice for you to get it. I can tell you right now it's worthwhile. So I hope you got it.